Okay, well, I want to welcome everyone to our webinar today, The Many Faces of Pickup and Delivery, Exploring the Various Residential Delivery Models. So what we have been doing last year and now into this year is focusing the webinar on the feature story in Planet Laundry magazine. So you'll see a copy of the cover on this slide. You should have received that in the mail already. Our panelists today were all interviewed in that issue along with several others. So if you haven't read the article, I would highly encourage you to do that after today's webinar to learn more about the topic. We're going to go through, I'm going to have some questions for our panelists, and you can type your questions into the chat box and we will get to those after I get through my questions, but feel free to enter them in the chat at any point. All right, let's introduce the panelists. So first we have Seychelle McNeil. She's with the Washroom Laundry Service. We have Charles Measley from Fluff and Fold. And we have Janet Penna from Wash Like Home. So thank you all for participating today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That way we can see everyone a little bit better. So on my screen, Charles, you are first. So I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
So, so the audience can get to know our panelists. If you can share a little bit about your business. So how long have you been in the business? How many stores, what locations, and how many employees?
Sure. So I started out in 2012 at a very small, what we would call now a zombie mat. I didn't know that back then. And it was completely destroyed in a hurricane. After that, I figured, you know what, I kind of like this laundry thing. And then in 2014, I purchased Fluff and Fold over in Ocean Township, New Jersey, and been running that ever since. And the previous owners of that, they did pickup and delivery if they felt like it was kind of the best way to describe it. So after I took it over, I kind of made it a permanent thing. And at that time, my lease was a horrible lease, and I needed to get, as much revenue as I could. And I ended up turning to pickup and delivery to bring in that revenue that, that we needed.
Great. Yeah, signing a good lease. That's a webinar topic for another day.
Yeah.
Seychelle, you're next on my screen. So same thing, if you could share a little bit about your business, how long you've been in it, if you have stores, how many, and employees.
All right. So thank you so much. My name is Seychelle McNeil. I own the Washroom Laundry Service. We're based in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been in business for just over 7 years. I do not own a laundromat. And up until probably it's been about 13 months, we signed a lease 13 months ago, and we're in the process of building out a laundry processing facility so it won't be customer facing. So I've built my business and from outsourcing our wash, dry, fold, and dry cleaning to a local laundromat. I have right now we have 10 employees, and essentially I own vehicles and delivery drivers.
Perfect. Thank you. And Janet, same question.
Yeah, well, we're Wash Like Home. We're located in Westchester County, and I don't have a laundromat either. Although we are in the process of hoping to purchase one, it's very, very difficult in my area to actually find a laundromat. I started actually before the pandemic. We were just starting out, and I was gonna do something, for when I retired. And what happened was that our website became viable, and the pandemic at the same time happened. So unfortunately, laundry was an essential business. So we're family run. So my son was like, well, we have to pay for the system and the website, so let's just do it. And we started from my house. And from there, I renovated my garage. And then from there, I found what I now know, Charles, is a zombie mat. And I've been using their machines, and so now we will probably be purchasing that and renovating the whole thing. I've been in business about 3.5 years. 4.5 years. Goes so fast.
It does. Pandemic was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So all of you kind of alluded to what the the Planet Laundry issue was about, which is it's describing different models for pickup and delivery. So you heard Charles sort of started more traditional self-service to pickup and delivery. Seychelle and Janet didn't start with the laundromat. So Janet, let's start with you. So the model that you chose, can you share why you chose to run your business that way rather than laundromat first and then wash, dry, fold, pickup and delivery?
Well, we were planning on opening a laundromat. And so when I started saying, okay, this is what we were going to do, I had a laundromat that someone was going to sell to me, but they happened to change their minds after we had everything in motion. So when everything became viable, and then the pandemic came at the same time, we just went with what we had. We had no idea where it was going to take us, but we just knew that we had to move, do something. So we did. We just started with the pickup and delivery.
I'm going to kind of go into the next question with you, and I'll do that with everyone. So that model, what would you say would be the pros of doing it the way you did and sort of the cons of doing it the way you did?
I don't really see any cons in the way I did it. You know, it just evolved that way. The whole thing was that you have to be involved. You have to, work the business, which whether it's in a laundromat or in your home or in a garage. And so we unlike Seychelle, we didn't send our stuff out. We did it ourselves.
What about you, Seychelle?
Well,
Why did you choose that model, and what do you think are the pros and cons?
so for me, I was never going to purchase a laundromat. I started out though, in my mind, I thought that we would be able to process at home as well, right? That's what I was thinking as I was brainstorming about what my business model would be. And then after speaking with my business attorney, he was like, well, don't people do that already? And I was like, yeah. He said, well, why don't you contract them to do this work? Because they already know what to do. And I was like, wow, that's brilliant. Which ended up being probably, it may have been more difficult than, trying to purchase a laundromat. But what we ended up doing is finding a dry cleaning partner and learning the dry cleaning process. They introduced us to a wash, dry, fold partner, and that's how the partnership took place. And I ended up purchasing a dry cleaning drop store. So I started with a dry cleaning drop store, and we had a little bit of pickup and delivery from there. And then COVID came, kind of like Janet, and COVID decimated my dry cleaning business because it was a drop store only. And so we really had to pivot quickly to figure out how we, maintain a business and a business model. And so we, of course, closed the dry cleaners and we pivoted to 100% mobile. So, that's when this whole partnership with the laundromat partner came. It really began to flourish. And I guess the one con that I would say for anyone who's contemplating this model is that make sure that your wash, dry, fold partner is truly a partner, right? Because your clients depend on this person and their team, right? And so that they understand that there's a partnership, and that you and your clients are their client, and that it's one group. And the second thing is, make sure you have a backup, right? So they say don't put all of your eggs into one basket. Have an alternative solution for times when there's overflow or there's equipment issues. We've experienced times where there's no electricity, all kinds of things happen in the laundromat, right? And so just having a backup plan is very important.
Hurricanes, right, Charles?
Exactly.
There you go. Right.
Before I go to you, Charles, I did see somebody on raise their hand. So you'll be everyone is muted, you're unable to speak, but if you want to type your question either into the Q&A or to the chat, we'll certainly get to that, whoever raised their hand. So Charles, I'd say you did it the way that probably most people go about it. They start with the laundromat. So why did you choose to run it that way, and what would you say are the pros and cons?
Yeah, so I mean, the store had a very busy wash dry fold business at that time. And, when I was looking at, again, I needed more revenue. So I focused on laundromat customers, and that needle didn't move that much. And then the needle moved a lot on the drop off. And then at that point, I started focusing on, advertising and pushing our pickup and delivery. And, that moved even more. And I think, if you have that wash, dry, fold operation, it's easier to add to it. And then what I would say where, let's say, one of the cons are, or an area that you have to look out for is, you know, uh, you started with just pickup and delivery. So your numbers, exactly what they are for pickup and delivery. But when you're doing this out of a store, it's really a separate business in a way. And in the beginning, you almost have free labor when you're starting in a store because you have your staff there for X number of hours each day working and doing wash and fold orders or keeping the store clean. So you have almost this free labor, I would call it, but it's really not free, right? So once you get busy enough and now, all right, I have to start calling in other people in to help process these orders. Now all of a sudden your margins that were really, really, really good in the beginning, they shrink drastically because you're running now a separate business out of your store. So it's really important to see what your margins will be when you get to scale. Like if you had to pay those processors and the delivery drivers, directly from your delivery business, what would those margins look like? And I would say focus on that because in the beginning, you have that free labor and there's this illusion of, oh, this is a very easy, very profitable business. But once you, again, get to that scale, you have to make sure you know what your numbers are because the margins are slimmer.
Thank you. For the next question, Seychelle, I'm going to start with you. So for attendees on this webinar who may be considering pickup and delivery, what would be their first steps in determining whether they have an opportunity to start a successful service? And what's the best way to analyze the market potential? People always want to ask that, like, how do you know if you are in a good market for pickup and delivery?
One of the things that we did, we were testing out a new market and we added a link on our website. So when people in those markets, we did a landing page for those markets. And so when people were looking for laundry service in those markets and they type in, I don't know, laundry service near me, if they clicked on our link, it brings them to our landing page and we capture their information. So we start to get a feel of how many people in the area are looking for laundry service. Additionally, another way that what we've done is we really look at area codes and zip codes and use that to, I'm sorry, not area codes, zip codes to determine if the people in that zip code are are our ideal client, right? So if you identify who your ideal client is up front, then you can determine using zip codes and areas that you'd like to target and really focus on a small area and work your way back. You know, expand that area, but start with a very small area of people who you know are your target client and use that target client base to expand your reach.
So Janet or Charles, I'm just going to open it up. Do either of you have anything else to add on looking at market potential?
So I think it's important that you have a point of sale service that deals with pickup and delivery, because for us, that was a lifesaver. We use Curbside Laundry. They're a company that actually has been in the business for generations, and they established a pickup and delivery service system where it keeps track of everything. And that's what kept us in the loop, I think, and had us prosper so quickly and so much over the short amount of years, is the fact that we had this system that actually kept everybody in order, knowing where they're going, where they're coming, what time they're getting there, how to pick them up, and how to process their clothes. And that system really was a lifesaver. And I think it's important, if you're going to establish, as far as knowing whether you have a market for it or not, I think the market is there because you can see that people look at Uber drivers and DoorDash, everybody likes to get picked up and everything likes to get it delivered. So the market is there. You just have to be aware of the fact that the area that you start to cover, you don't want to be in such a huge area where you're going from, one place to another that's so far away that it's not cost effective. So you'd have to calculate your mileage and, the gas and things like that and your labor.
Yeah, I mean, I think, laundry, and then like you were saying, who is your ideal customer? You want to look at and see, all right, maybe I have 2 or 3 customer types that I think are really good in my area. Well, okay, where are those people? And start advertising, in those zip codes or in those areas. And I think we said, once you have a core base of customers, all right, now you can expand from that and service nearby areas. And once you build that density, the business will grow, I think, more. I would say, I'm in suburban New Jersey. You would look around and say, all right, why would this be a good area? On paper, it doesn't really make sense. But our stores have a very strong presence here. And, it's that branding of, whatever your brand is, and building from that. And, I heard like an example that like Luke Williford gave. And he goes, if he opened like Luke's coffee shop on the corner, he might not do that much business. But if Starbucks opened there, they're going to do a whole lot more business, not because the demand for coffee changed, but because people knew, oh, that place has really good coffee. If people know that, hey, you do really good laundry and you can take this chore away from them, you're almost creating that demand. You're creating that market. So that's kind of like my thought on that.
So Charles, I'm going to stick with you, and Janet, you kind of answered this, or you started to, but what do you think are the important core functions or systems that store owners would need to help manage their pickup and delivery service?
Yeah, no, I mean, so having a really good and well-designed website, that is like the foundation of your whole pickup and delivery business. That's where your customers are going to be interacting with you and getting the feel for what your brand is, who you are. And then from that point, the tools that you need on the back end is, you need the ability to get their credit card information. what are their preferences, and how easy is it for the customer to schedule a pickup, and for your staff to then go, all right, let me look on my driver's app and, pick up that order, process it, and deliver it back. So having like customer preferences saved, the credit card information saved, and again, there's different systems out there, and you have to see which system kind of is tailored more towards your business. Do you want to be an on-demand laundry service where you're going kind of different areas all throughout the day? Or do you want to run what's called a route where you have, all right, this is my list of people for today. I'm going to put this in order and, drive this route to get these customers. So see, how you want to run that business, and then look for that system that, that best fits, for your model of operating.
So, Seychelle, in addition to the technology piece, because that definitely is important, what about the employees? What do you do to train your employees?
I'm
Oh,
sorry, I put
there you
myself
go.
on mute so I could cough. Excuse me. So, employees are the backbone, right? They are, why we do what we do and how we do what we do. And the training process is super important. And like I said, I have delivery drivers, and what we do with our delivery drivers, I believe in hands-on training, right? And so we have 1 full week of training where our drivers actually drive and go through the driver app with one of our supervisors, and they actually start to learn the process while doing the process. And this goes on for a week specifically. And sometimes we have drivers that will say, you know what? I'm good, especially people who are from the area, right? They're like, I know where I'm going. I kind of understand the area. And so you'll have some people that on day 3, they're like, yeah, I don't need anyone to ride with me. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you. And that feels good. And that sounds good. But the training is for 1 week. And what I always like to tell people is that this is not just a delivery job, right? You're not just delivering laundry. You're delivering time to people. This is an experience for some people. And the other thing about that is, we're out in the elements. It's hot, it's cold, it's raining, and you're in and out of a van. And sometimes that can, put a lot of pressure on your body. And so we've started to do morning huddles. So we have a morning huddle before everybody gets going. And sometimes, depending on who's running the morning huddle, there might be a little bit of stretches and exercises in the morning huddle because this job can be strenuous for some of the routes, right? So in terms of training, I feel like it's pretty simple, but it does last for 1 week. And we really want people to get out there and start driving because we have larger vans and some people aren't used to driving a larger van. And so it's important to get them acclimated to that. And just to the way that the delivery app, how to use the delivery app. But that's really it for us. And we kind of document that. And then there's kind of a 30, 60, 90 for us. We do a 30, 60, 90-day check-in just to see how people are, because I've learned that, we think about hiring people and we think about paying them. We're like, oh man, at the end of the year, that's a $50,000 salary. And like, we really can't afford a $50,000 salary right now. So the way that we look at it is in 3-month increments. I can pallet a salary for 3 months versus 1 year. So if at 90 days it's not working, we have a great opportunity to go ahead and separate with that potential employee based on the satisfaction of their service level for the company.
Good plan. Charles or Janet, anything you want to add on training of employees?
Well, I believe training is very, very important. They have to understand, the essential character of your business and what you're trying to do for the customers. And so for us, everything has to be exactly the same. So each customer's shirts will be exactly the same, folded the same way, their sheets, their towels, their pillowcases, their clothing. It all has to be folded exactly the same way. The pants folded exactly the same way. Kids' clothes folded exactly a certain way. So everyone gets the same experience. So when they open that bag, it's like a present. They're like, wow, this looks great, So definitely they have to, and you have to also explain to the employees why they're doing what they're doing. It has a meaning, it has a purpose. It has so that your customer knows that, this staff has taken your clothes and taken them well cared for. Your clothes are well cared for by that customer. So it's important that they care about the process.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, we do try to like maybe simplify it. Like, okay, maybe the job is simple, but it's not necessarily easy, and those delivery drivers, they are the face of your company. That is who your customers are interacting with each and every day. So you might have someone who, drives very well, but they're a jerk. Well, if they're a jerk, they're not good for your customers. So you want to make sure,
Amen.
you can teach somebody, all right, hey, this is how this app works, and this is how we deliver the laundry. But you can't teach somebody to be friendly and nice. Either they're friendly and they're nice, or they're not. So that's kind of what we look for, because those drivers are the face of your company, and our drivers have, great relations with, all of our customers, and you know, that's the foundation of it. And then on the flip side, on the processor side, you know, they need to care, because again, this is someone's personal clothes that they're trusting you to do. And we're looking for that level of care, not just let me put this in a washing machine, fold it however, and put it in this bag. They need to genuinely care. And again, we can teach you how to fold this shirt or this pair of pants. If you don't care, it doesn't matter how many times we show you.
That's true.
Good point. So for the people attending, we are a little more than halfway through our questions. So you want to start putting your questions into the chat, that would be great. So Janet, I'm going to start this question with you and turn to marketing. So from a marketing perspective, what do you feel are the best tactics for building up your client base and your route, and any tips for drawing boundaries of your service area?
Well, first of all, definitely, like Charles said, you need a website. You need a great website because that gives you presence in the area. And then and then you have to learn the algorithms behind the whole system, like the words that you use, the hashtags, laundry near you, things that, Google will start to tell you are good words to use to attract people to and end up in your website. And then, of course, reviews are one of the key things, and it takes time to get them. It just takes time, but you have to ask for them in certain ways. Everybody has their different ways of asking for reviews, and then you'll get customers that will send you reviews. And when they call, they'll say, I saw your reviews, and then they want to speak to someone, So you also have to have, like, we have great logo, and we have like bags that we put the clothes in. So every time they go to anyone's house, that, if they're in front of their house, the logo faces the street, and people driving by says, what's that bag? What's that bag? And then you'll get customers from that. So that's basically how we do it. And also blogging. Blogging has a significant impact when you get like a customer, or you start to take over a different area. That's also good, because then you can blog that you were in that area, and then that goes out. As far as areas go, it's how can I explain it? You'll all of a sudden somebody will pop up in an area, and you'll be like, oh, we don't go there. Like we don't we do go there. It's in our system that we go there, but we don't have a lot of people there. So, but what happens is that we bite the bullet, we go there, and we end up getting more and more people. Now, of course, if we never received any more customers from that area, after a while, say a year, we would probably then take that off of our site because we're not viable there. But otherwise, we try to do it. We try to go to different areas. There are certain areas we won't go to, like where we are in Westchester County. We have like a town that's like a really big, like city, huge. And that would be too time consuming for us at this point to take over that whole area. So you have to limit yourself. And like Charles said before, when you start with a certain area and then you expand as you go, because you don't want to overstretch yourself to where you're running all over the place and not making any money because your area is too far apart for the amount of people that you have.
Thank you. Seychelle or Charles, anything additional on marketing? Janet covered it. Oh.
I mean, the website is key, right? Because if you don't have a good website or a good sign up process, no matter what you're doing, you're going to be basically wasting money because once somebody clicks on that ad, they're going to your website. So you have to have a really good website. And then from there, the big things are, Google, Facebook, and, again, there's also that human element, like the physical stuff. Like, all right, do you have a delivery vehicle? Is it, branded nicely? So when your drivers are driving around, people can look and see, oh, what's the name of that service? What do they do? So they see the delivery vehicles driving around. The laundry bag, same thing. You have a nice branded laundry bag. And, just making those personal connections with people. Everything is digital now, right? But that personal connection is still like a foundational part of networking and building your business. So don't forget the personal, side of it.
I definitely have to agree about the personal side of that. I definitely do with Charles, because when people call and they say, oh, some people say, I never even heard of like that you could get your laundry picked up. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then when you talk to them, they have to feel comfortable leaving their clothes for you to pick up. And when you speak to them and you explain the process, is that, they get notified the day before, they get notice that the driver's en route. They get a notice that he picked it up. They get a notice that it's, going to be delivered, so where your laundry is every step of the way. That makes them feel more comfortable that they're not, because we are, like he said, a digital. So we don't like, okay, I'm giving you my laundry. I don't even know who you are. I mean, some people are comfortable with that, but some people are not. So you have to make them comfortable with the process.
Excuse me. I'll just add two things. And one thing that I think is very important, and I think Janet kind of connected on this, is when people pick up the phone and call, that means that they're ready to go. And so we need to make sure that our phone numbers are working phone numbers and that someone is going to answer the phone and speak to them. I take pride in the fact that we have a customer service team, and it's a real person. It's someone who speaks very clearly and you can understand them. And I think that wins a lot of people over. And then from a marketing perspective, you talked about being out in the community and networking. No one can sell and talk about your business the way that you can, right? And people purchase from people that they like, people that they can relate to. And so as long as you're out talking to people about what you do and how you do it, and you're relatable and personable, people buy into that, they lean into that, and they want to do business with you. And even if they are not ready to do business or can do business with you, they'll start saying, they'll start talking about your company to other people. So it's very important to, always, when you're marketing yourself, because you never know who's around, you never know who's in a room. You could be in the room with the person that's going to bring you the next Amazon, right? And so you always have to be presenting very well. You always have to be operating in a place of excellence, even when you're not at work.
Thank you. So even though we have a couple questions left, I think I'm going to transition to audience questions because we have quite a few to get through. And I think their questions are probably more important than the ones I drafted for you. So it looks like none of these are really directed to anyone in particular. So if one of you can address it, just kind of jump in. And I think you guys can see these as well. So the first one is, what ways have you found to help promote to those who are not tech savvy to use pickup and delivery?
I'm definitely not tech savvy at all. I mean, my support, my POS system, the support, they I have them on speed dial because I have to call them about everything. And even when they tell me something, I'm like, start from the beginning. Where do I put that? What's it called? The bar? What bar? I mean, I'm better now, but you have to be with someone that you're comfortable, even like our customers have to be comfortable with us. We have to be comfortable with the support system and the tech system that we do and employ, so that we know that they can support us on the back end.
For me, this question is really about that customer support, right? So for people who aren't going to use the website or are not going to use the app, give us a call. We're pretty friendly people and we want to help you, right? So if you give us a call, we can walk you through that. And if you always have to call us, that's fine. We have one customer I can think of right now. Every time they want a pickup, which they're not on a recurring pickup, every time they want one, they give us a call. And that's okay. We know that they're going to be calling.
Yep, the good old fashioned phone. So the next question, for your vehicles, are they insured as commercial vehicles? Which hopefully they are. And do you carry Bailey insurance to cover the customer's items? Key questions. Yes.
So I can answer that. Yeah. Well, yes. Right. And a whole lot of other coverages too, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds like there's opportunity for the insurance guy to share.
Yes. We did do a webinar that we had them participate in at Wash Dry Fold. They'll talk a little bit about it. So
Right.
yes, very important. So the next one, the person's wanting to know more about the apps used by each of you, how you chose them, and recommendations. So just going to give a little caveat here. Most of the app companies are our members, so we try to stay pretty neutral in this. I think it'd be fine if each of you kind of share which one you use, but I don't want to get into which one's better. And so for the person, Yvonne, asking that, maybe she could do some follow-up after to get to why you chose it, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. But I'm fine if each of you want to share. So Janet, I know you said you use curbside. Seychelles, Charles, do you use a particular system?
Yeah, so for our pickup and delivery, we use Clean Cloud.
Oh, and we use StarChart.
So there you go for the audience. There's many out there, many options. If you attend any of our events, typically all those companies are there where you can ask a lot more questions of them and people who use all of them. So do you pay your employees as employees or as independent contractors? This is a very touchy subject with the IRS. What about Janet? Are your employees or are you don't want to say?
I'll say we do both, because in the beginning, some people don't stay that long, so, and you don't even know if they're new to they're not experienced in laundry, you have no idea if they're going to stay. So of course you're going to start out as a 1099 because you don't give them certain hours. They come and go, and the laundry business is very flexible. You'll have like a huge day, a low day, bad week, good week, depending on schools closed, this and that, summer vacation. So it's very variable and flexible. So if you want to try somebody out, you can try them out at a 1099, but you do have to eventually put them in as an employee if they stay.
I would just
All of
make body, oh, I'm sorry. I would just make everybody an employee. It's easier than you're not filing multiple papers. And just do everything the proper way that you should have a good payroll, processing company. That, there's a few good ones out there. We use Gusto. And, just, I like the employee model. You get covered by your insurance, you have your workers' comp insurance, and it's a more, let's say, simpler or cleaner way of doing it.
I agree with Charles. All of our employees are W-2 employees.
Great. So the next question has to do with marketing. So outside of the website, they're wanting to know what's been most successful as far as marketing, and how'd you determine what was your most successful marketing? Anyone do some sophisticated marketing tracking? And
So, I mean, my background besides laundry is I also have like a marketing and communication background. So I like all things kind of marketing. So think of it as like a pyramid, right? You have like your website as your foundation, and then what do you do next? And as you build up, there's no magic bullet that, oh, if I do this one thing, there's going to be customers pounding on my front door tomorrow morning, right? You're building as you go. So after your website, I would say the next thing would be to focus on Google Ads. That way, people who are searching for services in your area can come to you. So if you're not doing any paid advertising, I would have a very good website and then start with paid ads on Google. And then after that, explore, other options that you have.
So I've done a little bit of everything, right? And what I've learned is that, like Charles said, not one particular thing works, but I think all of them layered on, or all of them together kind of determines your success with marketing. And it really depends, right? Some people are able to kind of break through with social media. Some people do very well with ads, but what I'll tell you with paid ads is that you really have to have money to do paid ads well, right? It's not an inexpensive game. It's a very expensive game, and it really depends on the people that are competing in your area. So there's a lot of layers to those ads. I think I like to tell people who are just starting out to really focus on SEO, so search engine optimization. And there's some on-page SEO that you can do. Janet kind of talked about it a little bit. Blogging is very good for SEO. Making sure that on your very good website that the photos that you have are tagged properly on the back end. You can get someone to help you with your backlinks. Those things are very, very, very important. And if you do these things on the back end, I like to say that it's something that's like evergreen. You start working on it very early on, and it continues to build, and it's something that will continue to drive people to your website for a long, long time, whereas ads are only driving people to your website as long as you're paying them. And the last thing that I will say is, and it's probably the most important thing, and it's something that I've learned over the last year or so, you have to get out and talk to people about your business, right? And whether that's you as the owner or the co-owners, even your drivers, right? And the people who are processing laundry, they have to get out and talk about your laundry service, why it's great, why they love working for you, right? People love to hear that kind of stuff, and they want to support people who are happy in their roles. So those things together, not one or the other, is kind of like a recipe for success for marketing.
Do any of you use an outside service like DoorDash or Uber? Someone's asking a question about whether it makes sense to do that, or do you all have your own drivers?
We have our own drivers.
Yeah, same.
Yep, same thing.
So to James, it's hard to say whether it makes sense. It is a different option. The next one is talking about your staffing model, how many employees and responsibilities. So we touched on it a little in the introduction. I don't know if anyone has anything more to add about sort of the structure of your employees. Is it just you and, processors, drivers? Do you have any management levels besides yourself?
So we do, like I said, we have six drivers, and one of our drivers is a supervisor of the other drivers, and that's really our only level of management within the company. But again, we are not customer facing, and so it's kind of just us in our huddle. But that is going to be changing. So if I'm ever invited back to talk about these kinds of things, we'll be talking about more employees and some different levels of management.
Yeah, I mean, on our end, our drivers are kind of, let's say, independent in a way. Like they're all self-sufficient. They kind of know their routes. We have, let's say, maybe one person, like it's not an official position or title, but he kind of, oversees, makes sure that everything is kind of set up so the other guys, it's easier for them to get out. As for like our processors, there we have more structure in that. We have, let's say, our general manager who oversees them, and then let's say we do different shifts. So we do a shift like when our store is also closed. So we have like a shift lead for that overnight shift. So we have that kind of structure within that for our processors.
Yeah, our drivers are pretty independent too. They do, they know their job. They come in, they get their routes, and we have like a manager and assistant manager.
The next one I think probably is for you, Janet, because it says when starting off pickup and delivery business from your garage, is it better to charge per pound or per bag? And then I guess they're wanting to know if any panelists are using eco-friendly bags that they find durable for packaging and delivery. So
we always charge
you're
by
in your
by the pounds, yes. And we just get all our stuff from Cleaner Supply. So
does anyone use eco-friendly bags? No. It's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. Just asking the question.
Bag. Now, if they just recycle it, then it's eco-friendly, so.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. Recycle bags.
This one's asking, has anyone moved to a branded app? I'm not sure what that means. And if so, have you seen an uptick in clients? Does it mean maybe branded by your name rather than?
That's kind of what I say.
Okay. So do any of you, is your app branded as your business name?
So we're in the process of building one. But again, kind of like what I was saying before, the example that Luke Williford gave about like the coffee shop, it's the same thing. How is your brand within your market? You want to have everything be central around that one brand. You don't want to use generic if you don't have to. When you're first starting out, okay, yes, this is a bigger expense, so you want to maybe save up for that. But when you have the means to have it all under that same brand, you have a lot more synergy. And if you have again, whether if you have stores or no stores, you're building off of what people perceive as your brand. So I think it would help you in the long run. Is it a magic bullet? No, but it will definitely help you.
The next one about your pickup and delivery partnered with Happy Nest. It sounds like no, based on all of you talking about your employees. Am I correct on
What was the
that?
question? I'm sorry. I
Um,
didn't know. What was the
Sorry, is your pickup and delivery partnered with Happy Nest, or does your business have its own employee structure? It sounds like you all have your own employees.
Correct. I
question?
do.
So the next question, someone's asking about what you pay your employees hourly. Again, because of our status, we cannot talk about exact payment, but maybe if you can share more generally, do you pay minimum wage? Do you, or do you pay, much over minimum wage? I'm assuming you do. So if you can share a little bit more generally without saying you pay so much per hour.
I
So,
think you
yes.
nailed it. We pay oh, I'm sorry. So we
No,
pay
no, 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 go, no, go.
more than minimum wage. And our supervisor position is a salaried position, a salary position.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we start everybody over minimum wage and then move them up from there. We try to work in a bonus structure as well, whether that's kind of a weekly structure. So the drivers, they earn tips from the customers. They give them a bonus based on the rate of um, how fast they fold the laundry and the pounds that they do. Um, and then what we try to do to try to, again, encourage, we want people to stay with us for a long time. So at the end of the year, we try to do a pretty generous year-end bonus for our team because we want to, make them happy. We appreciate, everything that they've done for us through the years. And again, we want to retain them because that consistency is a key part in your business.
Absolutely. Good job.
Yeah, we love our employees. I have to say, we have a great team and, there's, bonuses throughout. If we make money, they're going to make money because they're helping us make the money. So, that's how we are in our shop.
The next question kind of below this sort of relates to it. So with tips, how do you distribute the tips between the driver and other employees? Do you split tips between the driver and the processor, or how do you manage that?
I
So
mean, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I'll let you
Okay,
answer this
okay.
question. It was gonna be easy for me.
I mean, for us, how do you structure your business? Again, from the business owner's perspective, you want to try to make this as simple as possible. So what we did is drivers get the tips. Our staff that processes the orders, they get a production bonus. Drivers don't get that, they just get the tip. So that's how we kind of, handle it.
Divide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Seychelle, do you do it the same way?
So we only have drivers.
Oh, so
So
yes,
yeah,
that makes it easy.
yeah.
We only have a couple minutes left. I'm sorry, I missed the question above. Charles, you might be able, or Seychelle, you talked a lot about paid ads too. This person's wanting to know what's the minimum amount you would advise. Do you have a minimum amount that you would advise that they spend on Google or Facebook ads?
It's difficult, right? If you're in a market where someone else is doubling down on Google ads, it kind of depends on that, kind of how you want to be seen. So it's hard to tell. But I do know that, a couple $100 is not feasible for a solid Google Ads campaign. I think if you want to be serious about it, at least $500 a month on the low end will may get you somewhere, and it really depends on what the competition is in the area, who's bidding on those words against you. But it's hard to tell.
But like you said, it's really important. And all it is your time to be able to backlink. That is so productive. And like you said, and the algorithm and, keeping, you connected with the blogging. So if you don't have the finances, that's where you put your time and your effort into it, because it does keep building and building. And before you know it, like, how do all these people find me all of a sudden? And then it just keeps going and going. So yeah, that's the way to go. If you don't have, if you're starting out and, like you said, you have to compete with these people that have so much more money to bring themselves up to the top. You'd be surprised what, the backlinking does. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's free.
There you go.
So I would say, on the delivery space, it is expensive to run paid ads, because think of this for any advertising, it's more important to have an ad or a message seen multiple times than it is to serve that message to a larger audience. So if your budget is limited, focus on, maybe a smaller area. Because again, your goal is you want that ad delivered to those potential customers more frequently. And if you don't have the financial means to do that on let's say, over a large geographical area, all right, maybe you focus on, 1 or 2 zip codes and, build a customer base in that area and move on to a few other zip codes is another way to do it. But, it is, it can be expensive. And if you don't have those resources, focus it on, a smaller area.
So I'm going to ask one last question because someone asked it earlier and now I see someone just asked it again. Ironing. Do you do ironing and do you charge extra for it? Seychelle, do you iron?
No, we do offer dry cleaning services though.
Okay. Janet, do you iron?
Absolutely not. No.
Charles?
The irony of that question. No, we don't iron either. But my fiance, she is a dry cleaner. So and we met through the laundry business, obviously.
Oh, that's a nice story.
but
That's
she
nice.
How
does-
cute.
So she does all of the dry cleaning for us. So those items, they are pressed. We don't do any hand work in our stores.
Right.
All right. I'm sorry. I know there's a few more questions, but we're like at time. I just wanted to share some upcoming events really quick. Let's see here. Sorry. There we go. So first, I know some of you had more questions. You might want to ask more specific. So we do have a Facebook group, the Laundromat Professionals Network. So if you didn't get your question answered or you have more, highly suggest you join, go on there. There's, in addition to the 3 experts that are with us here today, there's many more people on there that can answer some of those questions for you. These are our next virtual events coming up. So CLA did create for women in the industry of a virtual panel discussion coming up on navigating difficult conversations. We'll have some panelists where kind of like today, we'll ask questions and you'd have the opportunity to ask your own. On March 21st, we're going to be doing a webinar on the employee handbook, which will also be the March, an article in the March issue of Planet Laundry. So we do host local events throughout the country. We call it CLA Connect Live. We have one coming up next week in Florida, but you'll see up here, here's our calendar of events. We have them run all the way throughout the year. So once a month we go somewhere. Typically there would be one near you. These are just a networking event. So typically 2 hours over dinner or lunch, offers you the opportunity to talk with other operators. Some of our company members are there as well. You can ask questions, and again, purely a networking event. Our big conference coming up is our Excellence in Laundry in May, and that will be at the PGA Resort in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Sorry, I knew this tickle was coming. I'm trying to get through it quick. So it'll be 2 days of networking. We're going to have sessions kind of like the one today, where it'll be people in the industry sharing their expertise. And of course, it's all at an amazing resort in Florida. So if you go to the website, you can get more information. The final agenda should be posted next week. But registration is available there, as well as the hotel rates. So I mentioned that we created a women's initiative. I'm so sorry. Most of our events are virtual, but we do one face-to-face event a year, and it is on May 20th. So it precedes Excellence in Laundry at the same resort. So we do offered bundled pricing. So you can attend the women's event the full day of May 20th, and then lead right into Excellence. Last year was our first event. We had speakers, we do panel discussions, roundtables. Honestly, the best part of it all was the networking. You see a picture here of all the ladies that attended, and great feedback. It's just a good opportunity. Some people are already in the business. Some people work for the companies in the business. And then we had several who are looking to get into the business. So a nice mix of people just getting to know each other and networking. And then finally, if you want more wash, dry, fold, pickup, and delivery, we finally have set the date and location for our event this year. You guys are probably the first ones to see it because we just secured this. So for anybody who attended last year, we are going back to Nashville, different hotel. We outgrew the hotel last year. We sold out of everything. So we're hoping this one allows for more people, more space, but it will be September 18th through the 20th at the Grand Hyatt Nashville. So just watch for registration to open in June with more details, but just want everyone to mark their calendar. So with that, today's session was recorded, so you can get a recording of it if you want to go back through it. Thank you so much to Charles, Seychelle, and Janet for sharing their knowledge with us today. And thanks to all of you for attending. Hope to see you at a future event. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Feel better.
Thank you.
Bye.